to. So I'm here to talk about the books I read this last week. I had a pretty good reading week. I read 6 books, a complete mismatch of different genres. I was trying to focus on reading some of the categorically romance readathon books that I've chosen. I have 2 of those to talk about. And so yeah, let's get into it. So the first one is Stormy Haven by Elizabeth Goddard. This is the love inspired suspense book. And I think I've read like 1 or 2 of these books before, maybe. But the cover I really liked. And this is about, what's her name? Jonah, who is, it opens up with her running on a beach, and she notices that someone is running behind her and getting closer and closer. And so she's like questioning this because it's a raging storm outside, so no one should really be outside, only crazy people, including her. But he all of a sudden pulls a gun on her, and so like the story takes off from there because Ian, who is like kind of hauled in to protect her, stops the guy, and so they're like put together. Ian and Jonah are put together to try and escape the bad guys. And so this was like a fast-paced book because, like I said, it opens up immediately with a chase. What I didn't like about it is that there's almost zero description of the characters. Like I think it's like 2 or like a couple pages in that you finally get a description of her. And so I don't know. I can never really invest myself in caring much about them because I feel like I never got a chance to like breathe and get to know them. But if you like fast-paced books with a romance involved, then yeah, this one was good. It just wasn't great. It wasn't something I would probably pick up again. But yeah, I do want to try more of these books just to see. And again, I think I'm in the minority because I was like adding this book to my Goodreads read pile. This book has a tons of great reviews. So yeah, again, I might be in the minority there. I then have In by Will McPhail, and this is a graphic novel by a New Yorker cartoonist. And so there's black and white photography. There's black and white art, and then there's also colored art. And so this is about Nick, who the character in the book is a cartoonist as well. And so he is struggling to connect with people and have like meaningful conversations and meaningful relationships. And so it opens like a funny. I'm trying to find a little picture here. Like he keeps going to different coffee shops to find meaning in life, and of course now I'm like scrolling through, I can't find it, but he keeps going, and they're like funny, like ironic names. There's humor here, so they have like the gentrificatio, and then you have Twill and Son, so like the gentrificationo offers an unwelcome ambiance and 12 varieties of milk, nary one from an udder. It is managed / haunted by a collection of Timothy Chalamet, who recommend cactus milk, and then refuse to besmirch the coffee with it. And then Twill and Sons. Next up is Twill and Sons, either a coffee shop or a barber's, but it could also be the movie Dunkirk. Who is Twill? Je ne sais pas. Who are the Sons? Perhaps they are the translucent stable boys behind the counter who leak cold brew from crystal tanks. Their hair is wet and like newborn fish. Their twitching organs are clearly visible through their paper skin. So yeah, there's like humor there as well. But it also has like a sad element in there because he's trying to connect with people. And so like one of the stories in here regarding his mother was just like heart-wrenching to read about. But he's also forming new relationships with people. So every time he actually has a true connection to people, it goes to color work. And so yeah, it's just beautiful color art and drawing. And so yeah, this was a fantastic read, and I highly recommend picking it up. And then going to the ebooks that I read, I have Sullivan's Island, a Low Country Tale by Dorothea Benton Frank. I'll turn this down a bit so you can see. I recently, last week actually, read Reunion Beach about, is that okay? Maybe I can go here in a way. No. But I read a book by a multitude of different authors, like Southern authors and authors who write beach tales, who were friends with her or inspired by her because she died. And so they took her like story idea for a book that she was going to write and kind of like wrote from there. And so a bunch of different short stories and novellas and things like that. And so I really wanted to go back and read the first book I read by her, if I can kind of sort of get this. Turn it down again. Maybe I think I tried that, but it didn't really work. Let's see. Okay. But yeah, I this came out in 2004, and I think I read it either 2004 2005. I had a paperback, and so I'm assuming it was like the next year. 2005 was the first time I ever read a Dorothea Benton Frank, and this is about a woman who is, I don't know, like struggling in life because come to find out, like one random day she comes home from work and she finds her husband cheating on her, and so she has to like reinvent her life, and she's now a single parent, and she's struggling with a teenage daughter at that, to raise her and get her ready for college and instruct her in the ways of life, and then she also has to struggle with now having to really make ends meet because she works as a librarian, but she doesn't make that much money, and so again she's like trying to find inventive ways of having an income, but still have time for her daughter. And so yeah, this is like, and also along with her struggles, it goes back in time to her struggles as a child, because like if her struggles as an adult sound hard, her struggles as a child are almost worse because her father is very abusive and her mother is very negligent, and so she has to she's the oldest, one of the older ones, and so she has to rally all of her siblings and be strong for them and kind of like be the parent herself. And meanwhile, she is constantly being inspired by their housekeeper named Livy, and who is a Gullah woman, is what they called her. So her people that she calls came from Africa as slaves, and so they speak Gullah, and she calls her like a Geechee woman, like from these Sullivan Island, is what that, I guess what that means. But yeah, this is just a fantastic story. For sure the childhood reminiscences were stronger than I think than the stories of when she's an adult. Just because like she's like just the characters like Livy and her mother and father are just so vivid, and along with her siblings as well, like very very emotional, and it evokes emotion in you compared to when she's an adult. But yeah, this was a fantastic reread for me. I then read Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. This is book 1 of the Eternal edition by Naoki Takeuchi. And this, if I can turn it, I think I have to turn it down. I'm sorry, I'm playing with the lighting here. It's like a really dark day, so I have like the lights on, and for you to be able to see because it's like pouring rain outside, you might be able to hear it. I'm not sure, but this is I grew up watching the TV show, the anime show, and so I've read I think 5 books of the manga series, and so I saw this at my library, and I don't know what the Eternal Edition means. I think there's a couple pages in each chapter that are colored, so that might be the difference. I should really research this more and figure out what's the difference between them, but it might just be like a relaunch of them. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is a really pretty cover. And this is following Usagi, Sailor Moon, who finds out that she is a warrior for justice, and then this is the first book, and so she is gathering up the fellow sailor, her group, to fight evil, and so yeah, this I like the first story. Like I read the 5 books or so, but yeah, this for sure is like one of my favorites. I then have Rufus M by Eleanor S. And this is a Newbery Honor book that I've read. And this is, I think, the 3rd book by Eleanor S. that I've read, because the previous 2 books were also Newbery, either Honor or Winners. And this is following, so each of the books follows a different person in the Moffat family. So this is following Rufus, who is a young boy who is just struggling in a way to learn the ways of humans, and like why are they so weird, and like let him be in a way. But also it talks a lot about the family and their struggles to make ends meet. Like at one point, he's just sledding around at night, and he finds these coins frozen under the ice on a sidewalk. And so he like makes a point, like trying to scrape out and get these coins. Like, oh my gosh, now I have money for bread and food for my family. And so yeah, he doesn't really want to spend it on himself, like a knick-knack or a toy. It's something frivolous. He knows it needs to go to his family to help them like heat the house and things like that. And so yeah, it was a nice like children's story. I like the other 2 better than this one, but maybe because I didn't connect for the little boy, I'm not sure. But yeah, this was a good read. And then I have the last one is by Ryan Thing, and this is Change of Fortune. and I really like this cover. But this is following a woman in a who she's at a fair, and all of a sudden, like, she hears these people screaming, and she and the guy in the store, I can't remember his name, come running up to see what was happening, and I think his name's Ross. Yeah, Ross, and anyway, anyway, and come to find out that Ross's one of his family members is found murdered, and so it's about him trying to keep the wife of the man out of jail because she is implicated in the death, and so she's in jail, and so he's trying to get her out of there, like on bail or what have you. And meanwhile, he has to take care of her son while the mother's in jail, and so he's like a single bachelor life, and so he's not used to that, and so he has a help from the woman who I can't remember her name, who was also there when they found the murder victim, and so there's a relationship there with them. So yeah, this was a really quick read. I think it's like 150 pages or so. It only took me like, I don't know, like an hour or two to read. But unfortunately, I didn't like it. And I've liked a lot of Rand Thane's book in the past, but I didn't like this one because the murder victim, you know who they are, but you never find out who the murderer was. And then there's another storyline with the teenage son that they are that he's looking after, and he goes the teenage son like leaves all randomly one night, like all night long, and he says he has to take care of an emergency, and so Ross and the woman leave that night and try to go find him, track him down, and there's a whole expedition there, and they never find him, come back to the house, and then the son comes back later. But that whole emergency ordeal and why he was out 24 hours, it's never explained. And so I understand it's a really short book, but and I look at this series here, and it doesn't say the name, but it seems to be each book in the series is by a different author. So I don't know if Rand Thing wrote the next one and that explains what happened, but I've read many mystery books, murder mystery books, and then always there's a murder introduced, it's always explained. You always find out who did it, but this one does not do that, and so that really irritated me. The other thing that irritated me was that there's a relationship between Ross and the woman, and it's like within this whole book takes place like over like 2 weeks or so, and that might be being generous, maybe 3 weeks, but I don't even think so. And they're first time they meet on the very beginning of the book, and by 2 weeks in, they're getting married and they're the love of each other's life, and I don't believe that for a second. And so yeah, this whole book just irritated me on all fronts. But again, I don't want to discourage you from Rand Thane, because she's written a lot of great books that I have liked, but this one just did not do it for me. So let me know if you read this book or this series. This is like a fortune something series, I'm assuming, because each book has like a fortune something in the title. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts on this if you've read this. But yeah, because I have one other book by her, a Lake something, that I want to read over the summer because it's a really pretty UK edition, and so maybe that'll help revive my love of her, because yeah, that one did not at all please me. And it might be a categorical romance, because I'm reading like the categorically romance books like I mentioned with Stormhaven, and it has it right here. Like the other books, pull it back up here. The other books in the series have the special like design of like it's like a special edition. Like it has it on the side here, or on the side, or the front on the banner right here, or on the side, where it has special edition. But this one doesn't have that. And like, this is it's republished this year, but it came out in 2009, and the 2009 didn't have that on it either. But it might be a special edition Harlequin. I'm not sure, but maybe I can kind of count it for that. But yeah, anyway, let me know if you've read any of these books, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.